Welcome, baseball fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for the Major League Baseball Report with Paul Tipton and Will Retherford here for our season preview and prediction show. And welcome, guys. This is the Reds year, right? Hey, laughter is not an appropriate response to that question.
It will be a year for the Reds.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
I love your enthusiasm, Greg.
I believe this time. I'm a believer. And as you know through our text chain, I think Matt McClain is the key. But we'll get to the National League Central here at the end. We're going to go through each division one by one, make our predictions, then at the end to make our World Series prediction as well. I think since the game tonight is the first game of the year, and it's the Giants and the Yankees, so let's just start with those divisions. And are the Yankees the favorite in the East, Paul? Looks like it could be a really competitive at the top.
Yes, a lot of people are talking about the Orioles and their moves. The Blue Jays is hard to. They've kind of they'll be strong as well, so that should be wide open. But I would imagine the Yankees would be the odds-on favorite.
I think the Yankees might be the odds-on favorite. I think the Red Sox are flying way under the radar in the AL East. I love their moves. I think their lineup, maybe top to bottom, might be the deepest in the entire division. And their rotation looks really good with the addition of Ranger Suarez. So I know it's a Yankees fan and Uncle Paul, it's probably a little hard to hear, but I think the Red Sox might be, I don't know if you consider them a sleeper because I think they have the second best odds to win the division, but there's a lot to like with that team.
Will Leach on MLB.com predicted they would finish fifth in that division this year.
I could see that. I think the division is that good. Their lineup's good. If you told me your top fives, Roman Anthony, Trevor Story, Jarren Duran, Wilson Contreras, who they traded for this offseason, and Willie Abreu. Yeah, their bottom of the lineup's not great, but they've got Crochet, Suarez, Gray, Bayo, and then Connolly Early, who I believe is going to be a rookie this year. Those are four starters that you would conventionally think are probably 1 to 2s on most other teams, and Sonny Gray and Bayo are your 3 and 4.
So you think the Orioles are overhyped and the Red Sox are underhyped?
I think the Orioles have been overhyped since they won 100 games. For whatever reason, all of these young top draft picks that they had that kind of came up, made a splash. For some reason, they're just not working. And I don't really know what the reason for that is. I think Adley Rutschman's been just beat to all get out. Jackson Holiday, up to this point, really hasn't performed up to his level. I think Colton Cowser's left a lot there on the field. Sure, if you really like Pete Alonso, I think you could probably say that they could make the playoffs. Any of these 5 teams, I think, could make the playoffs. I don't know. I just kind of think the hype's a little overblown, personally.
I'm going to take the Yankees to win the division, and I think it's the closest division 1 to 4 for all 6 divisions. But the question I want to know is, are the Rays going to be competitive again? Because every year I think they're clearly the last place team, and they never are.
Yes, every year you think, how are they going to piece it together? And they play in a discouraging minor league park with a weird fan base, and who knows if that stadium will ever get right. And but they overexceed expectations. So
they're the reclamation projects for pitchers. I think Steven Matz, Shane McClanahan's their 5. That was an all-star in 2022 and 2023. It looked like a potential Cy Young candidate who's been beat up the last 2 years. He's your 5, and he gets back to form. You've got Drew Rasmussen at the top of the rotation. I like his stuff a lot. He's a young stud. Matz, I think he probably belongs in the bullpen, but he can be an effective starter if need be. Nick Martinez, Greg, who you obviously know from your Reds fandom, he got beat the absolute hell out of in spring training. throwing batting practice, but somehow he made the roster, and we'll see. I don't know. The Rays will. That Junior Caminero, boy, he's a talent. He is a talent. I really like Jonathan Arandas as well. I think he's a great bat-to-ball guy. That's a team that will win probably 80 games and in other divisions would probably be closer to 90, I think. But they're going to have to play a tough divisional matchup schedule against the Blue Jays, Yankees, Reds, and Orioles.
Mm-hmm.
Will, sounds like you're taking the Red Sox to win it.
I think I am going to take the Red Sox to win it.
Bold out of the chute.
And Paul?
I'll take the Yankees.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take the Blue Jays. I've went back and forth all day on Blue Jays or Yankees. Just give me the Blue Jays. I kind of like their toughness last year. We'll see if that gets them through a full season. I think 1-4 could be separated by 5 games.
I think you're absolutely right. I really do. And Greg, I would probably have agreed with you if Bichette was back in Toronto, but that's a big hole. You're talking about you left a 340 double, 20 home run, 85 RBI type of guy.
That's
Defensively,
why
it's not a loss, but
that's why they're not the sure pick.
I agree.
All right, well, let's talk about the National League West. Clearly the Dodgers to win, but there are other good teams out there, including the Giants who play tonight. What are the expectations? Padres have a shot at it?
I think those are the only two that possibly could, but this could be a runaway year for the Dodgers.
I'm with Paul. I would be as high as I've been on the Padres. I would be surprised if the Dodgers didn't win the division. I expect the Padres to make the playoffs and be a wild card team again. Greg, this is going to be an unpopular opinion. I think the Giants are going to suck. I
hope so.
I think they're going to be bad. I don't really like that rotation a whole lot.
I hope they're the worst team in baseball every year. You guys know how much on this podcast I hate the Cubs. I would hope that the Cubs swept the Giants every time they played them. That's how much I dislike the Giants.
Well, that's good because I don't think they're going to be very good. I think Logan Webb is the most overrated ace in the league behind what used to be Sonny Gray.
He's a workhorse, that's for sure.
I'm not going to take that away from him. He's an old school type pitcher. I just think that he's a little too pitch to contact for me to say you're an ace. I like an ace that can go out there and mow a lineup down through 6 innings and take the will to compete away.
I'm not sure about their bullpen either.
Well, that was their issue last year. Was their bullpen just was atrocious.
That's another team. Every time I count them out, they come from out of nowhere and do something. I think they're going to be horrible too, but I thought they were going to be horrible last year. What about the Diamondbacks?
Corbin Carroll is iffy with his hamate bone there, and Lawler, they're expecting great things. So I just don't think they have the pitching to hang in there and challenge anybody. I see him in third place.
I do too. I think that rotation's probably a year away with Ryan Nelson and Fat. So I think a team for next year that I would say, they obviously went to the World Series a couple years ago. I'm not saying that. Josh Naylor is going to be a big loss for that lineup. I know they traded him, dumped him off to the Mariners. He re-signed there. It's one of those that I think for the Diamondbacks, even though you were out of contention last year, maybe you wish you could have held on to, because I think he's the type of ball player that can give you great at-bats for 8 years and be a cornerstone of your lineup.
And in high-stress situations, too. Yes.
Guys, the Dodgers just have too much depth not to win this division. The hope is that you catch them in the postseason when they're not playing well or they're a little worn down, because they could lose some guys and still be the best team in baseball.
Absolutely.
And it might be the least competitive division in baseball, but I think the least competitive division of baseball is going to be the AL Central. I think the Tigers are 10 games better than anybody else. What am I missing?
I also think the Mariners are 10 games better than everybody in the AL West.
Ooh, whoa. We'll talk about that when we get there, but
Okay,
that's
sorry.
interesting.
I agree with you about the Tigers. Don't see how any of those Central teams, maybe the Royals, but I can't see any of them challenging the Tigers.
Well, I think the West is a 3-team race. That kind of shocked me, but your thoughts on the Central?
Yeah, I'm going to get massacred probably for this take, but I think the White Sox are going to be a lot better than people conventionally agree with. I think that lineup has a chance to be good. Great, no. Top half, right around top half. Yeah, I think so.
You got them ahead of the Guardians?
The who?
I'm sorry, the Cleveland franchise.
No, but I think that they are good enough to prevent the Tigers from being 10 games better than the rest of the division. I think Cleveland probably is too. Got to remember that Cleveland hawked the Tigers down last year, ended up winning that division. I know in the end it didn't really, mean that much, but yeah, Greg, the White Sox are a team that I think Murakami, I think he's a Japanese player whose game translates well to the MLB level right now. Colson Montgomery, Southport, Indiana guy. Yeah, they did trade. They got Luis Angel Acuna in the trade with the Mets this offseason. I think he's a rising star. Maybe not star, but rising talent. Yeah. Shoot me for it. I think they finished third in the division, though.
All right, before we get to Paul's bold AL West prediction, let's talk about the NL East. Phillies to win.
Yeah, but challenged by the Braves and the Mets, I think. Could be a 3-team race.
For some reason, I have no faith the Mets can actually be good. I think they're just one of those franchises at this
That
point.
was my initial reaction, too. Sure, the talent says they're going to be good, but they're the Mets.
I want to say I think the Braves will actually win the division. I think if you get Acuna back, he stays healthy for a full year, you know what he can do when he's healthy for an entire year. That makes a huge difference at the top of the lineup. Olsen had a down year last year. Austin Riley had a down year last year. I really think Drake Baldwin is going to be the catcher there for 10 years. Ozzie Albies is still there. Michael Harris second. You start listing off the names, that Braves lineup sounds really good.
They had the best spring training record of any team in MLB, but I'm sure you're going to discount that.
I will. I also know that
it doesn't mean nothing.
It doesn't. Well, it does, because the Cardinals were the best Grapefruit League team 2 years ago, and they didn't even win 80 games. So it does mean nothing. Your record in spring training means absolutely nothing. But the Braves have Chris Sale at the top of their rotation. Spencer Strider is going to come back if he can get back to form. Spencer Schwellenbach, who was great before his injury last year. Yeah, I know it. I've been full of hot takes, but I think the Braves might just be the team to beat.
Zach Wheeler's going to have another really good year because the Phillies pitching isn't quite as good now.
They have not improved themselves much, I will say that.
They might have the best top 3 in the game, though.
They're getting older. They're not getting younger.
I agree with that, but I can tell you, if you're a team that has to face Sanchez, Luzardo, and Nola 1, 2, 3 in a series, you feel good if you got to win. You feel good if you just got a win in the series. That's how good that top 3 of the rotation is.
If Wheeler's 100%, which we don't know yet. All that concerns me enough to probably think that the Braves could do it. I'm still going to take the Phillies, but unfortunately, last year the Phillies were our team that we hoped could stop the Dodgers, but I don't think they're that team this year. I don't know why I said unfortunately. I
know why you said unfortunately, because it was a prescient moment for you. That was a very good word. They came close.
I do love Kyle Schwarber, though. I like him so much, he almost makes me like the Phillies. He almost makes me like the Cubs at times. That should tell you something.
That is strong.
And now we get to Paul's AL West, and I think you're probably right. Seattle's the best team. I thought they were going into last season, though. I had more confidence that they were going to win the division easily than I do this year.
I think they got over a hump last year. Just expecting, matching expectations and finishing strong. Seemed like they never had a strong September until this past year. So yeah, I'm a believer. I think they believe in themselves, and they made a believer out of me.
It was a good offseason for them too, Will.
If I just said the Phillies are the best 3 starting rotation in baseball, and I lied, because it's the Mariners, and it's not remotely close. They have 5 all-stars pitching for them. I mean, Luis Castillo is their 4, behind Gilbert, George Kirby, and Brian Wu.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you meet them and what kind of schedule. They're going to throw out a great starting pitcher or a really solid starting pitcher. Who do you guys see challenging the Mariners?
I think it's a good division. I think Will has eyes on the A's.
I think the A's are going to be good. I do. I think that I think they could contend to be a wild card type team. I don't think they're better than the Mariners, but their lineup is good.
I think the Rangers might be pretty good. The Astros might be pretty good. I don't understand why you think they're going to run away with it. I do think the Mariners are the best team, but do you think that everyone else has regressed?
You guys might know more about it than I do. I always get discouraged in whatever I think the Astros are trying to do.
Yes, I agree, but
they always do better than I think they're going to do. I feel about the Astros the way you feel about the Giants. Would love to see them finish last.
If the Rangers lineup were better, I would probably say the Rangers with DeGrom and Eovaldi and Gore, but their lineup just sucks. I don't like their lineup at all.
There are guys in the lineup, up and down the lineup, who have hit in their careers, though.
Oh, yeah. I'm not taking that away at all. They're really young. I think their catching duo is offensively bad, and I know that people say, oh, you need to be more defensively minded, but I don't know. Danny Jansen or Kyle Higashika.
Their lineup does not scare anybody, I don't think.
No. And DeGrom's going to get injured, and he'll pull his left pinky toe tendon and miss 14 weeks.
That's correct.
Too much Mets experience is what you're saying for DeGrom.
Yep.
But Leiter, Gore, Rocker, they're going to win some games.
80.
I'll say 85.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay, then.
All right, well, let's get to everybody's favorite division, the only division that the world really cares about, and that's the National League Central. The favorite team of mine is the Cincinnati Reds. The favorite team of Will is the St. Louis Cardinals, and, of course, the Chicago Cubs are near and dear to Uncle Paul's heart as well. And, guys, this is the Reds' year. I'm just going to say, I really believe that they're going to win 98 to 102 games.
I don't know what to say, but their hitting until the last couple of days has been pretty impressive in the spring. I'm just not sure they have the arms, but I'd love to hear what Will says.
There's a better chance they finish last in the division than win 100 games, undoubtedly. With that being said, I think might be the best roster. Second best roster in the division behind the Cubs. I think the Brewers are going to win the division.
Through magic again?
It's not magic. It's just great management. It's great coaching. I think Pat Murphy is awesome. I love everything that he's about. I think that their pitching is always good. Their bullpen is always excellent. They've still got Abner Uribe. They still have Trevor McGill. Like, you get to the seventh inning and the Brewers have a lead, good luck. And I think they have the starters probably in the positional depth to get there.
No
So,
Peralta.
I don't think it matters. Freddie was awesome last year, but if they felt comfortable enough to move off of him, what they do, they traded Corbin Burns and conventionally said, they traded Corbin Burns. What's he do? He goes and blows both his arms, his legs, and his head off in Baltimore, pitches 5 times, goes to the Diamondbacks, gets injured. It doesn't matter. They're just, whatever they do, I have full faith that their organization is moving in the right direction. They're one of maybe 5 sports organizations in the entire world that I look at and say, if they did it, it was the right decision. It was the right call.
That has been the track record recently. Boy, their performance against the Dodgers was unbelievably bad. No carryover effect because it's not football is what you're telling me.
No, I don't think so. It was bad, but...
And the Brewers play in the regular season.
It's going to be interesting to see how they start.
Their offense was bad. They're also still young. There's still a lot of young guys in that lineup, first postseason experience. I get it. The conventional wisdom says is their carryover, but I'm kind of with Greg. They've always been an excellent regular season team. They struggle in the postseason, and that has been true. I can't think of many years since maybe 2007 that the Brewers haven't been good, like a top 10 team in baseball for at the better part of 20 years for the most part.
Yeah. Had a couple of swoons for a couple of years, but not very deep and not very long.
I can say with absolute certainty that the first 3 years after Christian Yelich was traded from the Marlins to the Brewers, there was not a better baseball player in the entire world than Christian Yelich. That dude hit a home run every single at-bat. And I know stats will say I'm wrong. You didn't watch the guy. He was absolutely ridiculous good.
That's how I felt about Albert Pujols. Just don't ever throw the guy a pitch. Just don't throw him a pitch. There's no point.
So you're excited about Matt McClain and Sal Stewart this year, huh, Greg?
I am. I don't know about Sal Stewart as much. And Will said the Brewers, one of the best organizations in baseball. And here we are talking about the Reds, one of the worst. But they have put together a really good roster. They've done a really good job the last few years in the draft for sure with the pitching. There's still some holes in the roster. Holes probably isn't the right word. Some places they could upgrade. But I think it's a solid lineup top to bottom. And then the pitching. Really, if Burns, Lauder, and Williamson are anywhere near as good as we've seen and are expecting in their growth, you add that to Hunter Green and Andrew Abbott and maybe Nick Lodolo. You throw in Suarez into the lineup, who will disappoint me throughout the year, I'm certain, but the guy hits a lot of home runs, which is very valuable, obviously. And
he's the toast of Venezuela right now.
No question about that.
Punching up in the 9th inning of the Classic.
Right.
Yes.
Like he did in the World Series last year as well. So we've seen it a couple of times. With maybe it's different now, but he might be my most disliked Red of all time.
They are going to be fun to watch. They are going to be a loud offense. That is, I don't question that. I mean, I think Matt McClain, that Ellie, if Sal Stewart can find that pop. I mean, Suarez is going to hit 35 home runs. I mean, it's just going to happen. He's that type of hitter. He's going to hit 35 home runs. I think Brian Hayes might be perhaps like the worst offensive player in the starting lineup in the entire NL Central. He's a bottom 3. The Cardinals probably have the other 2, would be my guess. One team, Greg, I do want to mention before we go on. The toughest series of any team with a losing record in the entire league will be the Pittsburgh Pirates. They are going to be a really hard team to beat, and you're going to have to grind to do it because their pitching staff is, if they just had a top 20 lineup, they would probably make the playoffs. That's how good I think their starting pitching is.
They're going to score more runs than they did last year, I bet.
Well, scoring 3 runs when you scored 2 last year is a huge upgrade for him. It's just not going to be enough. And I think the improvement in the offense will be why they're so hard to put away. I think they're just talent-wise offensively not good enough to probably win the division and probably even be 500. But they're having to face Chandler Skeens and whoever the third guy is. That's going to be a really tough 3 games.
It's very exciting, but now we've talked about all the teams except for your Cardinals.
I'm just not going to waste breath on them. So, unless it's Ivan Herrera, I don't care.
You think they finish 5th?
No, they'll probably be 4th.
Paul, that's another team. Every time I think they're dead, they have a great.
Greg, they're going to be bad. This is not like those other Cardinals teams. Those other Cardinals teams had 5 Silver Sluggers still in the lineup. This Cardinals team will struggle to score 2 runs a game.
Well, who was your pick in the division?
Craig, it's the Brewers. You can think whatever you want to think, but anything other than the Brewers would just be foolish.
Paul, Reds or Brewers?
I'm going to pick the Cubs.
Okay. So 3 different picks. And
yes.
None of them are the Cardinals. That's unusual. All right, and real fast, we're going to have 8 months to talk about this, whatever. But as the season gets underway tonight, your World Series prediction, mine is Dodgers over Mariners, Will.
Mariners over Dodgers.
Paul?
Mariners over Dodgers. I'm with Will.
So we all 3 have the same team. No chance that's happened.
Thank you so much for listening. Paul and Will will be back throughout the Major League Baseball season. And we're looking for somebody else to join them. So if you're interested, please let me know. 502-533-3161 if you want to talk Major League Baseball with us throughout the season. Check out my new daily podcast, Greg and his friends talk sports, every weekday afternoon on the Central Indiana Sports Report. Thanks again. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.